Some of you all are wondering why your blessings are delayed, your peace disturbed, your goals shattered. Let me tell you something powerful today. It's not always the enemy outside. Sometimes it's the voice you trusted, the friend you overshared with, the listener you thought was loyal. But they were a leak in your spirit. Stop giving people the blueprint to your soul and wondering why your house is under construction. God gave you vision, not a microphone. Some things are sacred. And today, we're going to learn how silence is not weakness, it's divine protection. People can't contaminate what they don't know. That means what people don't see, they can't sabotage. What people don't hear, they can't twist. And what people don't know, they can't pray against. You've got to stop making your life an open book when the wrong people are reading it with dirty hands. We live in a world where the moment something good happens, people want to rush to post it. New job, announce it. New relationship, show it off. New business, broadcast it. But here's the hard truth. The more you reveal, the more you expose yourself to unseen battles. Sometimes, it's not jealousy you see, it's jealousy you never hear about. The silent kind. The kind that pretends to cheer while silently hoping you fall. Have you ever noticed how some of your biggest blessings turned into your biggest problems after you told the wrong person? You got the opportunity of a lifetime. You shared it, and suddenly the door closed. You found someone who loved you genuinely. You shared it, and suddenly the relationship hit turbulence. That's not coincidence. That's contamination. Not from your faith, not from your choices, but from the access you gave to people who didn't deserve it. You need to start treating your personal life like a bank vault. Not everyone should know the combination. Some things need to be locked away between you and God. Because what's sacred can't survive in spaces where everything is shared like cheap gossip. Let me tell you something. When God starts blessing you, it's not for public consumption. It's for spiritual construction. And not everyone should get a front row seat to what He's building in your life. Think about Joseph. In the Bible, he had a dream, a divine dream that God gave him. And what did he do? He told his brothers. He thought they'd celebrate. Instead, they sold him. Why? Because he shared a vision that was too big for small-minded people. He shared a dream that wasn't meant for public display, and it almost destroyed him. Not because the dream was wrong, but because the timing and the audience were. Some of you are giving too much access to people who only pretend to support you, but deep down, they're disturbed by your growth. Let me bring this into everyday life. Imagine you're baking a cake. You mix the ingredients, you place it in the oven, and halfway through, someone walks by and opens the oven door wide open. What happens? The cake collapses. Not because you didn't prepare right, but because someone interfered before it was finished. That's what happens when you share your personal life prematurely. People open the door to your process before it's ready, and it all collapses under their doubt, their negativity, their interference. Another example. Have you ever had a plan, a personal goal, maybe to lose weight or save money or start a side business, and you told a friend, expecting encouragement, and instead they laughed or said, "That's not realistic," or "You've tried that before." Suddenly your motivation shrinks. Why? Because you exposed your seed to someone who didn't have faith for your harvest. People can't contaminate what they don't know, but once you invite them in, their doubt becomes your delay. You've got to protect your peace like it's priceless, because it is. You've got to learn how to smile how to succeed, how to grow in silence. Not because you're hiding, but because you're healing. Not because you're sneaky, but because you're sacred. There are moments in your life when privacy is not secrecy, it's strategy. There's a difference. And when you understand that, you stop explaining yourself to people who never had the capacity to understand you in the first place. Let people wonder, let them guess, let them assume, because assumptions can't kill what's covered in grace. Stop giving people VIP access to a life they didn't help you build. Stop inviting everyone to your table when they didn't bring a spoon. Because the moment you stop sharing everything, you start growing in everything. God will bless what's guarded. He will multiply what's protected. And most importantly, no one can curse what they never saw coming. Your silence is your sanctuary. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, posting every move, expressing every thought, sharing every emotion, there is something divine about the quiet. Not passive, not weak, powerful, purposeful, sacred. Your silence is not emptiness, it is protection. It is wisdom dressed in stillness. Because when you speak less, you hear more. Not just others, but God, your intuition, your soul. There's a reason the most powerful people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the ones observing, thinking, reserving their energy for what actually matters. Think about it. When you walk into a storm, what's the first thing you seek? Shelter. You don't look for a place to shout or argue. You look for silence. You look for refuge. That's what your inner peace needs in this chaotic world. A sanctuary of silence. Not everyone deserves to know what you're thinking. Not everyone deserves to hear how you feel. Some things lose their power when they're spoken too soon. Some emotions are healed in silence, not in discussion. You've got to learn to sit with yourself without the need to be validated. That's where your real strength lives. Because when you stop oversharing, you stop inviting unnecessary opinions. You stop opening doors for gossip. You stop watering confusion. Every time you speak about your struggles to someone who hasn't earned your trust, you hand them the power to misinterpret your journey. But when you remain silent, you allow the process to do its work without interruption. Let me give you an example. Have you ever tried to explain your pain to someone only for them to minimize it? You open your heart and they say, "It's not that bad." Or, "You're overthinking." And suddenly you feel smaller, weaker, doubting your own reality. That's what happens when we give our truth to people who don't have the emotional maturity to handle it. Your silence, in that case, becomes your shield. It keeps you from being broken twice, once by the pain and again by their misunderstanding of it. Or maybe you've been in a situation at work, you have an idea, a vision, a strategy. You mention it in a meeting too early and someone else runs with it. Or worse, they shoot it down before it's even formed. That's why you've got to learn to build in silence, to nurture your thoughts in private. Because when it's ready, when it's strong, when it's undeniable, no one can take it from you. But if you expose it too early, you give others the power to damage it while it's still fragile. Have you noticed how healing often happens in silence? The most painful wounds in your life didn't heal through conversations. They healed through isolation. Tears cried in private. Late night prayers whispered to God. Deep breaths taken when no one was watching. That silence, that was your sanctuary. That was your soul repairing itself. Nobody saw the fight, but you won anyway. And that's the kind of strength no applause can match. Silence is not about being mysterious. It's about being wise. It's about knowing that peace is louder than noise, that stillness speaks volumes. It's in the silence that God speaks the clearest. It's in the silence that purpose is born. You'll never hear direction if your life is filled with constant commentary. Think about how much drama, stress, and regret could have been avoided if you had just stayed silent in that one moment, that one argument, that one conversation. Not because you were wrong, but because not every battle is worth the energy. Sometimes silence is not surrender, it's strategy. You are not ignoring the chaos. You are choosing not to feed it. You are not avoiding people. You are protecting your peace. Because once you understand the value of silence, you start to realize not every truth needs to be told. Not every emotion needs to be expressed. Not every thought needs to be shared. Some things are meant to stay in the sanctuary between you and the one who understands everything, without a single word. Loose lips invite loose energy. When you speak too freely, too soon, and to too many, you open the door for energies you never intended to welcome. Words carry weight, they carry power, they carry energy. And when you speak carelessly, you are literally leaking your own power into places it doesn't belong. You start wondering why your peace is disturbed, why your motivation is gone, why things aren't flowing, but it's because you gave your energy away through words that were never meant to be spoken in that space. When you're always talking, always explaining, always venting to whoever will listen, you're not processing. You're leaking. You're not healing. You're scattering. Loose lips don't just sink ships. They invite the kind of energy that can destroy everything you've quietly been building. You're trying to grow something sacred, but you keep planting seeds in public soil. You tell someone about your dream and they say that's too big. You share your goals and they roll their eyes or smirk. In that moment, the energy shifts. Doubt walks in. And suddenly, you're no longer as confident as you were 5 minutes ago. Have you ever had a conversation that left you feeling drained? Not because you cried or argued, but simply because you overshared. You gave pieces of your heart to someone who didn't value it, who wasn't even listening with intention, and afterward, you felt hollow. That's loose energy. When your lips move without alignment, without wisdom, without restraint, your spirit suffers. You are allowing your inner sanctuary to be invaded by opinions, projections, and invisible judgments. Think about a candle. When you light it and keep it in a closed space, it glows steadily. But open a window, let the wind in, what happens? The flame flickers, dances, sometimes even goes out. Your vision, your purpose, your spiritual fire is that candle. And your words are the windows. You open too many of them and you let in account for. Not all of it comes as a storm. Some comes as subtle breeze, a little sarcasm here, a backhanded compliment there, and slowly your flame weakens until you're questioning what once burned brightly within you. You want to know why some people are stuck in cycles of delay? Because they keep speaking too soon. They birth their visions with their voice before it's ready to live in the world. Not everyone claps when you win. Some are just checking to see if you're still ahead. Not every friend who listens to your story has pure intentions. Some are gathering information, not giving support. Loose lips gave them access, and loose energy is what they return. There's a reason the most spiritual people speak less. They understand the law of containment. The more sacred something is, the more it must be protected. Look at nature. Diamonds are hidden deep, gold is buried, pearls are locked in oysters. And so there's a secret in containment. Look at nature. Diamonds are hidden deep, gold is buried, pearls are locked in oysters. There's a secret in containment. Look at nature. Diamonds are hidden deep, gold is buried, pearls are locked in oysters. Why? Because valuable things are covered, not exposed. So why would you expose the most sacred parts of your journey to just anyone with an open ear? Every time you speak without discernment, you invite energy that doesn't deserve to sit at your table. Even in relationships, romantic, professional, family, there's a time to share and a time to hold back. You tell someone about your relationship struggles, and suddenly they start watching your partner with a different eye. You talk about your financial goals, and someone throws in a sarcastic "good luck with that." That one sentence, it sticks, it lingers, it pollutes. That's the power of energy. Words are never just sounds, they're containers. And if you keep spilling your containers everywhere, don't be surprised when your life feels empty. Your future requires focus, not fragmentation. Every word you speak should build, not leak. It's unconstrained freedom funded with power. And every word you speak should build, not leak. Every conversation should align, not confuse. Loose lips invite chaos into a place that God meant for clarity. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself exhausted, not from working, not from trying, but from leaking energy into spaces that were never assigned to your destiny. Everyone smiling isn't supporting. Just because they clap when you rise doesn't mean they prayed for you when you were falling. Some people smile not out of love but out of curiosity. They want a front row seat to your life, not to cheer you on but to study your every move. There's a dangerous assumption we make when we confuse appearance with alignment. Just because someone is around you doesn't mean they are for you. And just because they smile in your presence doesn't mean they celebrate you in your absence. People wear masks, and some of those masks look like approval, but behind the smile there could be jealousy, comparison, even silent sabotage. A smile is easy to fake. Support is not. Support shows up when there's nothing to gain. Support defends you when you're not in the room. Support covers you in prayer, not just in praise. If you have to constantly prove yourself to someone, explain yourself or dim your light so they won't feel insecure, that's not support. You can be surrounded and still be unseen. You can post a picture, get 100 likes and still have no one truly rooting for your success. You can throw a party, fill a room and still feel alone. Because energy doesn't lie. Only people do. Have you ever shared good news with someone and they said the right words, but their eyes didn't light up? Their body shifted,